Justin Smith here, the scouting and recruiting analyst at Touchdown Alabama magazine. Thank you guys so much for joining me today as the Tide continues to crush it on the recruiting trail, adding to the 2021 recruiting class on today as four-star offensive lineman Terrence Ferguson has announced his verbal commitment to Alabama on today, adding on to the 2021 recruiting class, becoming their 15th overall commit in his class, becoming their fourth offensive lineman commit, joining the Brackemeyer twins. Tommy and James also joined J.C. Latham, the five-star offensive lineman out of IMG Academy. I think Ferguson's commitment really brings forth that conversation that a lot of Tide fans were having when Alabama landed the Brackemeyer twins on Friday, and that conversation is the Tide quite possibly having the best offensive line class ever in his 2021 recruiting class. I know a lot of people don't like to talk about that in terms of guys coming out of high school. You want to see guys graduate college and you look back at their college career, then you say, yo, what did those guys do as a class, as a whole, during their time at the college level? But based on potential, I think these guys are worthy of having that conversation, at least, with especially adding Ferguson to that impressive group today. Looking at Ferguson, he's a 6'5", 300-pound prospect, a guy who played that tackle position primarily as a junior, and he was able to use that wide frame to his full advantage, making it hard for defensive ends to get around him. I think his biggest strength was his ability to run block. I think he showed a lot of aggressiveness when run blocking, not afraid to get to the second level and attack linebackers and defensive backs. So I think that is something that I was really impressed with, an offensive lineman that is willing to block down the field. So I really like that about Terrence Ferguson, the guy who really finishes blocks as well. So I really like a lot of different things about Ferguson, but I really like his aggressiveness off top. I like to see an aggressive run blocker, especially a guy who can block for my running back down the field. So Terrence Ferguson is a great pickup for the Tide in this 2021 recruiting class. I think Alabama may not be done with offensive linemen in this class. Just looking at their recruiting board, of course they have the 4 guys that they have verbally committed. I said in the past that they want to add on 4 to 5 offensive linemen in this class. And they could possibly add on another guy if it is the right guy. Looking at their board, they still are recruiting Amarius Mims, a 5-star offensive lineman out of Georgia. Also, Tristan Lay, the 5-star offensive lineman out of Virginia. So they still have a couple of guys on their recruiting board. I think they will add if they could land those guys. So that is something to pay attention to. You guys can check out our full coverage of Terrence Ferguson, the second commitment, on touchdownalabama.com. From the breaking news story, also me breaking down here what his commitment means to the Tide's 2021 recruiting class. Also me catching up with his dad, Dr. Terrence Ferguson. Him breaking down what went into Terrence Ferguson's decision to commit to Alabama. I think that's a pretty interesting read as he broke down some of the factors that they weighed. Also talked about some of the things that stood out to him in his family about the University of Alabama. Also talking about Terrence Ferguson and what he brings to the table, not just as a football player, but as a young man. So I think that is an interesting read. Be sure to check that out at touchdownalabama.com. We will have Ferguson rated as a 4-star recruit on Touchdown Alabama's recruiting profile, so be sure to check that out as well. I think something to pay attention to moving forward when it comes to the 2021 recruiting class is we may see a lot of guys moving their commitment time frame up, because I think the conversation and the rumors that there may not be college visits this upcoming season for high school prospects may become a reality soon. I think a lot of recruits are looking at that possibly becoming a reality, so we may see a lot of guys pushing up their commitment time frame. So be sure to pay attention to that and stay on the lookout for guys that maybe were looking to hold off their decision, push up their commitment date. So be sure to check that out. As always, I am Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiter analyst, Touchdown Alabama magazine.